Now, before we look at some other updates on the new minimum wage deliberations, let's tell you that one issue that has over the years been a constant source of conflict in Nigeria is the incessant clashes between farmers and herders. These clashes have always resulted in the constant loss of lives and livelihoods. To address this, an anti-open grazing bill has now advanced past the second reading in the National Assembly. The bill seeks to establish controlled herder mobility. To further discuss this, I'm joined on the news by a lawyer and political analyst, Taiwo Ojomo. Thank you so much, Taiwo Ojomo, for joining us on the news.
Thank you for having me.
Now, this anti-grazing bill has undergone several names: ranching scheme, rural settlement scheme, open grazing prohibition, and ranches establishment law, and the likes. Well, in all of this, would these address the violent clashes between farmers and herders?
Well, thank you very much. If you ask me, I think it's beyond the name. If at the end of the day the bill becomes a law, I believe that to a very large extent it will go a long way in addressing if it is fully implemented, it will go a long way in addressing the the herder farmer clashes that have been a main issue in the country. But beyond that, I also believe that it will address it. Apart from addressing it, I think in the early days of the law, if it becomes a law eventually, there will be reprisal attacks, as it were, because those who are used to the old ways will not want a change. But I believe eventually, as time goes on, if the government is sincere about implementing the law, if it becomes a law, like I said earlier, then I believe that it will go a long way in addressing the issue. Yeah.
So you just mentioned sincerity and, of course, how these will actually pan out, of course, reprisal attacks. Now, to put in a better perspective, now, senators from the northern region objected to the bill banning this open grazing talk, saying it is restrictive and discriminatory, while senators from the east said ranching is better to keep herds controlled. Now, for you, which would you say is better for the sake of peace, understanding, and for these businesses to continue to operate?
Right. Thank you. Now, why I agree that the right to movement is one that is guaranteed by the Constitution of Nigeria. It's also usually said that the right of one person or one citizen ends where that of others begin. That is, your right to move. Your right to freedom of movement does not mean that you should now go and trespass into someone else's property. So your right to movement ends where that of others begin. So, but beyond that, I am of the firm opinion that the issue of open grazing is one that belongs to the Stone Age and it should remain there. No modern society still practices such barbaric system, and so I'm 100% in support of banning of open grazing and the creation of cattle ranches. For instance, there are many other countries in the world that produce. They are rare. They are bigger when it comes to rearing of cattle. US, we have India, we have Brazil, and what they practice is in line with modern practice. That is what's it called? Ranching. So that is Stone Age. So it has no place in modern society. Open grazing.
But there's still a bit of a comma in this particular bill. Now, according to what we understand, this bill seeks to establish ranches at herders' states. It's a bit unclear for some people, because we need to understand, is it the state of origin or the state of trade? If we can fully interpret that and understand that, maybe then we can move forward from this.
Yes, from my understanding, I think the bill that was that actually was, that originated from Senator, I think Zam from Benue State. In that bill, it was proposed that ranching should be restricted to the herders' state of origin.
Okay.
That is, if you are from Kebbi, for instance, now you have to, you can only create your ranch within Kebbi State. But the problem with that is that in my own opinion, might offend the Constitution, the provision of the Constitution, because no Nigerian is more Nigerian than the other. But then I believe that other states should be a bit more accommodating in terms of creation of ranches for herders. But for me, that part that states that, or that proposes that only the herders state should create a ranch, I think it should be expunged from that bill, if you ask me.
Okay, so finally, since you are going with the establishment of ranches as against open grazing, if we are going to have that across the 36 states of the Federation, are you certain that it would ensure access to grazing fields for those in the business? Do you think that will also reduce transport costs and ensure availability in markets of need? Because we need to also look at...
Okay, I think to a large extent it will. You may be aware that one of the leading causes of deaths in deaths in farming, food insecurity as well, is this incessant incidents of clashes between herders and farmers. And so, if ranches are created, and if other states, host states are magnanimous enough to accommodate herders, because these are Nigerians too, I feel that it will go a long way in reducing. I will not say that it will abolish it altogether, but it will to a large extent reduce it, because the things that, like I said earlier, those who are used to the old ways want to fight change. So, but it will to a large extent reduce these incessant clashes, and of course, it will increase the food production generally in the country.
Taiwo Jumo, lawyer and political analyst, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you for having me, Nico. Thank you.